By dividing the sky into 12 sections and assigning traits to each, the zodiac became more than just a system for timekeeping. It became a tool for social engineering, reinforcing the idea that people's roles in society were fixed, unchangeable, and dictated by forces beyond their control. This isn't just ancient history. Astrology has evolved into a multi-billion-dollar industry, exploiting the same psychological tricks used by past rulers. Now, if you're wondering how industries benefit from this, we'll explain that later in the video. Social media algorithms push zodiac content, dating apps let people filter matches based on signs, and daily horoscopes keep millions hooked on an illusion of fate. The same belief system that once kept peasants in their place now profits from insecurity and self-doubt, conditioning people to believe that they are bound by cosmic destiny instead of their own choices. Even worse, astrology fuels division and stereotyping. The truth is, the zodiac was never about self-discovery. It was always about control. From ancient kings to modern corporations, those in power have used astrology to categorize, manipulate, and shape behavior. But your personality isn't written in the stars, it's written by you. The moment you stop letting an outdated system define who you are, you take back the power they never wanted you to have. And if you're here for more insights like this, consider hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel that values critical thinking and personal empowerment. For astrology to be valid, it would need to consistently predict personality traits, behaviors, or future events with measurable accuracy. But time and time again, scientific studies have shown that astrology fails under rigorous testing. One of the biggest issues is the lack of a mechanism explaining how the positions of distant planets and stars could influence human thoughts and behaviors. The force most people assume is at play, which is gravity, is actually infinitely stronger from objects right next to you than from distant celestial bodies. For instance, the doctor delivering a baby exerts more gravitational force on that newborn than Jupiter does. If planets had any meaningful effect, we'd expect to see consistent personality patterns based on zodiac signs, but study after study finds no correlation. One of the most famous experiments proving this was conducted by French statistician Michel Gauquelin, who sent a fake astrology profile to multiple people and asked how accurately it described them. Over 90% of people agreed it fit them perfectly. The catch? They all received the same horoscope, one based on the birth chart of a notorious serial killer. This revealed that astrology works not because it's true, but because people tend to see what they want to see. In another large-scale study, scientist Sean Carlson tested professional astrologers by giving them anonymous birth charts and personality assessments and asking them to match them correctly. The astrologers performed no better than random chance, proving that astrological readings have zero predictive value when real science is applied. There's also the issue of the precession of the equinoxes. When the Babylonians created the zodiac, they aligned it with specific star constellations. But because of the Earth's slight wobble on its axis, those stars aren't in the same position they were 2,400 years ago. This means that if astrology were truly tied to the heavens, the zodiac sign should have shifted over time. In reality, if you check where the sun actually is on your birth date using modern astronomy, chances are you're actually a completely different sign than the one astrology assigned you. Yet, astrology never updated its system to reflect these astronomical changes, proving that it's based on outdated assumptions rather than real cosmic forces. And then there's the twin problem. If astrology were real, identical twins, who are born at nearly the same time and place, should have nearly identical lives. But that's not the case. While some twins may share similarities, they often have completely different personalities, careers, and life experiences. If zodiac signs and birth charts were truly accurate, we wouldn't see such dramatic variations. But time and again, astrology fails to predict meaningful outcomes, making it more of a psychological illusion than an actual science. The only reason it seems to work is because people convince themselves it does, not because there's any real cosmic influence at play. Think about this. If someone tells you that you're a Leo, you might start acting like a Leo. If they say Capricorns are hardworking and ambitious, you might unconsciously start embodying those traits. Why? Because humans are wired to seek patterns and meaning, even where none exist. This is called the Barnum effect. It's nothing but a psychological phenomenon where people believe vague, general statements about themselves because they sound personal. The descriptions of zodiac signs are just broad enough to apply to anyone, but when framed as something specific to you, they feel eerily accurate. It's why people nod along to horoscopes, convinced that their sign explains their quirks, strengths, and struggles, when in reality, these statements are crafted to be relatable to almost everyone. Another big reason why people cling to astrology, despite its lack of scientific backing, is confirmation bias, which is the tendency to remember information that supports what we already believe, while ignoring everything that contradicts it. When someone reads their horoscope and sees something that feels accurate, they latch onto it as proof that astrology works. But when predictions fail or don't match their experience, they either forget about them or make excuses for why it didn't apply that day. This selective memory creates the illusion that astrology is more accurate than it actually is, reinforcing belief in a system that has no real predictive power. This is the same trick fortune tellers and psychics have used for centuries. You've been through a lot, but you're strong. Yeah, no kidding. That applies to literally every human being. You sometimes feel misunderstood, but deep down, you just want to be appreciated. That's not a psychic vision, that's basic human nature. But when you hear these words in the context of astrology, they suddenly feel deep, personal, even prophetic. You start attributing events in your life to cosmic forces rather than your own choices, reinforcing the illusion that your personality and future are dictated by something outside of your control. Over time, this belief shapes behavior. People start living as if their sign defines them, acting out the traits they believe they should have rather than developing their own identity. Now, scale this up to an entire civilization. If rulers, religious leaders, or even modern influencers can convince people that their destiny is written in the stars, they've effectively created an invisible prison. Why? Because people who believe they're bound by fate stop questioning, stop striving, and stop challenging authority. A person who thinks their struggles, failures, and successes are predetermined by the cosmos is less likely to take responsibility for their actions or push back against limitations placed on them by society. Instead of seeing obstacles as something to overcome, they view them as just the way things are. This makes them easier to control, easier to manipulate, and easier to keep in place. The zodiac isn't just an entertaining belief system. It's a brilliantly disguised tool of influence that has been used for centuries to keep people in line without them even realizing it. Let's talk about the zodiac's real superpower, limiting human potential. We'll give you some examples, but first, we'll have to understand how it limits humans. At its core, astrology isn't just a belief system, it's a mental framework that subtly conditions people to think inside a box. Instead of seeing personality as something shaped by experience, habits, and choices, astrology tells people that their traits are pre-written, unchangeable, and dictated by the stars. And that's where the real danger begins. Because once people accept that their behavior is just part of who they are, they stop taking responsibility for their actions and start using astrology as a permanent excuse. You ever notice how zodiac believers will justify their toxic behavior by blaming their sign? Someone's impulsive and inconsistent? Sorry, I'm a Gemini. Someone refuses to commit in relationships. Can't help it, I'm a Sagittarius. Someone is manipulative and jealous? That's just the Scorpio in me. See the pattern? Instead of acknowledging personal flaws and working on self-improvement, astrology gives people a free pass to stay the same. If you believe that your bad habits, fears, or failures are just written in the stars, then why would you try to change? The zodiac encourages a fixed mindset, the belief that your personality is set in stone rather than something you can actively develop. And once you convince people they can't grow, you've already stripped them of their true power. The zodiac creates artificial divisions between people. reinforcing stereotypes and pushing false narratives about compatibility. Suddenly, relationships aren't built on shared values, trust, or real emotional connection. They're filtered through an astrological checklist that has zero scientific basis. And when people blindly follow these rules, they limit who they allow into their lives, often missing out on incredible friendships or relationships just because a horoscope said so. You think that's a coincidence? Not a chance. It's exactly what the elites, both ancient and modern, want. A population that willingly divides itself based on nonsense. If you can convince people to categorize themselves, distrust each other, and separate into groups, you don't need to force them into submission. They'll do it voluntarily. Astrology is a perfectly designed psychological trap, one that keeps people locked in fixed identities, weakens personal accountability, and ensures society remains fragmented and easy to manipulate. And the best part? Most people don't even realize they're playing into it. Fast forward to today, and astrology is everywhere. Horoscope apps, Instagram accounts, TikTok astrologers, YouTube channels, books, merchandise, and even businesses selling zodiac-inspired products. Notice a trend here? Yeah, it's social media. But we'll get to that in just a minute. What's more important is how what was once an ancient belief system has been repackaged into a multi-billion-dollar industry. And here's the thing. It thrives on keeping you addicted. Astrology isn't just entertainment anymore. It's a full-fledged marketing strategy designed to keep you engaged, dependent, and constantly searching for meaning in places that only lead you deeper into the system. The more you consume zodiac content, the more these companies profit, and they know exactly how to keep you coming back for more. And guess what? The same people who push zodiac culture are the ones profiting off your belief. Horoscope apps track your habits and sell your data to advertisers. Astrology influencers monetize your fears and insecurities with paid readings, exclusive content, and merchandise. Businesses use zodiac-based marketing to sell everything from crystals to clothing to skincare, reinforcing the idea that your identity is tied to your sign and that you need to buy something to align with it. They don't want you thinking for yourself. They want you obsessing over predictions, fearing Mercury retrograde, and spending money to fix problems that astrology convinced you to worry about in the first place. The truth is, your future isn't written in the stars. It's written by your choices. But as long as they can keep you believing otherwise, they'll keep cashing in on your doubt. Now, let's talk about the real driving force behind astrology's modern explosion: social media. Have you ever noticed how platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok are constantly pushing zodiac content? That's not a coincidence, it's by design. Social media algorithms are programmed to prioritize engagement, meaning the more you interact with a certain type of content, the more you'll see it. Like to post about signs most likely to be toxic? Expect 50 more posts about why Scorpios are the worst or why you should never trust a Gemini. Comment on a funny astrology meme? Congratulations, you just told the algorithm to flood your feed with even more zodiac content. And the cycle never stops, because the deeper you go, the more you engage, and the more the system keeps feeding you astrology-based content designed to keep you scrolling. And here's the dangerous part. At some point, it stops being just entertainment. The more people consume astrology posts, the more they start to internalize these ideas. Before they even realize it, they're using the zodiac as a filter for their entire life. Instead of seeing personality as something shaped by experience, habits, and individual growth, they start viewing it as preset, dictated by the stars, unchangeable. People start making real-life decisions based on astrology, whether it's jobs, friendships, relationships, or even self-worth. Someone sees a post saying that Aries are natural leaders and suddenly starts believing they're destined for success. Meanwhile, a Pisces reads that they're too emotional to handle pressure and starts subconsciously doubting themselves. These aren't just harmless labels, they're self-fulfilling prophecies, shaping the way people see themselves without even realizing it. And it gets even worse. As people fall deeper into the astrology rabbit hole, they start closing themselves off to reality. How many times have you heard someone refuse to date someone because their signs aren't compatible? Or reject potential friendships because I don't vibe with that sign? Social media has turned astrology into a psychological sorting mechanism, reinforcing the idea that people should only associate with certain types of people while avoiding others based on arbitrary birth dates. But here's the truth. None of this is backed by science, logic, or even common sense. It's a man-made system designed to categorize people, and social media ensures that you keep believing in those categories, reinforcing them and letting them define your choices. And who benefits from this? Not you. The platforms keep you scrolling, the influencers keep you engaged, and the astrology industry keeps making money off your belief in limitations that were never real to begin with. At this point, you might be thinking, who's actually benefiting from this, or what the end goal really is? The answer is simple. Anyone who profits from a population that doubts itself. The more people believe they are limited by the zodiac, the easier they are to manipulate, market to, and control. This isn't just about fun personality tests. It's about creating a society that willingly boxes itself in, reinforcing self-imposed barriers that keep people from realizing their full potential. And when people believe they're bound by fate, they become passive. And here's the kicker. It's incredibly profitable. Think about it. Companies sell zodiac-based products, apps push daily horoscopes, influencers profit from astrology content, and social media platforms keep engagement high by feeding people more of what they already believe. The more people rely on astrology for guidance, the more they consume, engage, and spend money on things that promise to bring them alignment or help them navigate their astrological challenges. It's a self-perpetuating cycle, one that ensures people stay hooked, stay distracted, and stay in their place. At the end of the day, astrology isn't just a belief system, it's a system of control. It keeps people distracted with meaningless divisions, passive in their personal growth, and predictable in their behavior. And the best part? It's all happening by choice. No one is forcing anyone to believe in the zodiac. People willingly buy into it, defend it, and shape their lives around it, all while those in power quietly profit from their belief. So, what can you do about it? Simple. Stop letting the stars define you. Astrology might be entertaining, but it's not a rule book for your life. Your personality, your strengths, and your future aren't dictated by your birth date. They're shaped by your experiences, your choices, and your mindset. The moment you stop believing that your potential is locked inside some pre-written cosmic script is the moment you take back control. Every decision you make, every skill you develop, every relationship you build, that's what truly defines you, not where the planets were positioned when you were born. You're not bound by cosmic destiny or some invisible force deciding whether you'll succeed or fail. That's a narrative designed to keep you passive, distracted, and controlled. The truth is, the people who thrive in life aren't the ones who wait for the right astrological energy to make a move. They're the ones who create their own opportunities, who take action despite the odds, who refuse to let an arbitrary label determine what they can or can't do. You don't need the stars to tell you if you're strong, ambitious, or capable. All you need is effort, discipline, and the willingness to grow. That's what shapes real success. True freedom comes when you realize your beliefs are the only cage holding you back. You're not a zodiac sign, you're limitless. Break free, define yourself, and no one can control you. Like, share, and watch Are You Just a Thought in Someone Else's Mind for more mind-bending insights. Subscribe for more.